What is going on, niche gaming enthusiasts? Michael Jordan here for our Kingdom Come Deliverance impressions, behind the scenes E3, hands-on gameplay impressions, and just demo impressions in general. This is kind of long, it's a little bit long-winded, so I might have a couple of hiccups throughout my explanation, but I'm going to try to do it as best as I can. This is still kind of a beta sort of phase of the game, so there might be a little bit of animation hiccups and whatnot. This game is basically Dungeons without Dragons. It is very much, I mean, if you want to call it anything, it's probably Skyrim Death's Vault Edition mixed with Dark Souls. You could die very, very easily. You have to pay attention to the combat, and you have to really focus. You just can't go in and wave a sword, and actually, combat is something you're going to be trying to avoid for the most part. Now, the story basically revolves around kind of Holy Roman Empire era, where we have one king kidnapping another king's brother, or his brother, I should say, and trying to take over the land because the king in particular is not exactly a great king, but still the amount of mayhem that the other king does with destroying villages and attacking people and the sheer amount of lives lost is incredible, and a lot of the people don't like it. So you're going through this very realistic, very historic piece of a game, and the game has a very good solid foundation because of it. Now, all the characters that you're going to be seeing are realistically part of the game world and the real world. So, while it is kind of a fantasy, it is not like high fantasy with, or low fantasy, however you want to say it, with, you know, kind of changing the timeline and whatnot. This tries to be realistically strict on the historical aspect. So everything right down to the geography and the plant life is going to be right out of real life. Now, as you can see here, this is a giant codex. It has a lot of information. You can find new information about people that are, you know, historically accurate information of new people that you'll encounter throughout the game, as well as other people and set pieces throughout the time. And that kind of gives it a almost it's like a Wikipedia almost. It's really extravagantly well done and well detailed.
Welcome, Henry.
A lot of the people that you'll see here will have kind of passing conversations. As you can see, you're just kind of looking in on their conversations, hearing them and whatnot, but the kind of text makes it a little bit easier for you to figure out what's going on. Now, we're going to go into a situation right now, which is a bit of a fight that you're going to have, because this fat bastard over here, he owes you, he hasn't paid you, and he's a bit of a town dickhole. So, you're going to try to intimidate him, but unfortunately, we don't have the ability to kind of, you know, pressure him into paying us right now. So, we're about to get into a little bit of a brawl. You saw the stats pop up on the left-hand corner of the screen. That shows kind of where your standing is. Once something happens, you'll notice that it's a fail. And realistically, it is an open world game, but there's only about, I don't know, like, there's only one true ending to the game, because it's a historically accurate. Right here, you're taking a look at the kind of fighting and stuff. And once finished, you'll get a key to his place, get everything you need, sell what you need to, you know, use what you need to, depending on what the situation entails. And if you didn't do that, let's say you try to just break in, he might notify the guards might come over and you know, kill you, you know, screw your day up. There was an interesting little subplot that we saw before in the previous demo at E3, where some guys were just throwing shit on a guy's house, which is very interesting. And you could choose to do it or not to do it. And let's say if you did choose to help them and you failed that fight right there, you'd actually be able to get those guys to come help you beat the snot out of the other guy and get the stuff that you need, because obviously he didn't pay you. So right now you can see there's a very robust inventory system going on, from armor to kind of passing items, food, quest items, and whatnot. And you get to see your stats at the bottom right hand corner. So now that we have all the charcoal we need, maybe do a little bit of gambling, This is a unique game that they have that is historically accurate, where you're trying to basically get points. They have a whole big rule sheet and information about how this game works specifically, so when you get into it, you'll be able to understand it without question. The name of the game is kind of getting a set number of items or set number of dice, and if you can get multiples of that item, it's like how you score points. It's very complicated, and it sounds retarded when I try to explain it, but you know, you could gamble with people just in case you need to make some more money, or if you just want to play for fun.
God be with you, Henry.
So going further into the game here, just taking a good look at the environment. Really well done, you know, kind of persistent world. A lot of little details and stuff like that.
Wenceslas is our rightful king.
So this is the situation I was talking about before, but you didn't really get to see the lead up to it. So the character was basically talking shit about your homeland and the king. And everybody here is like, you know what, we need to fucking fuck this guy up a little bit, you know? He's been too much of a dickhole. So that's kind of what they're trying to talk you into help them doing.
Deutsch was talking such shit, made me think of that huge pile of manure. You know? The one right next to his freshly whitewashed house.
So, are you with us or not?
Now remember, everything that you do has a choice in this game. So
Oh well.
you could choose not to,
Father can wait
or you could
you
choose
waiting
to
for,
do it,
soldier?
and then let's say you failed, there would be an
Fire
option
that
right there that would be like,
king
oh, if we
and
do this,
country.
you gotta help me beat that guy up.
This is all good, clean, fun.
Nearly as good as having that traitor in the pillory.
See, I don't know what's worse right here, because you gotta realize that they're
Sigismund.
also holding shit with their hands, while they're also throwing shit on his place.
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
Hey, Hans, can't you see? We're decorating your house for you.
It's like your old man was saying in the tavern about that traitor Sigismund.
We're just doing what we have to do. Oh, sons! I'll make those smiles off your faces!
Oh, I'd like to see you try. What are you doing here, Zbigniew? Hanging out with this poxy Deutscher? Maybe you'd like to try out the latest German fashion.
Nobody likes being hit in the head with bullshit.
I'll make you pay for that.
So anyway, now you got kind of a group fight situation here, and you can engage, well, you kind of have to engage in a situation like this. But one of the things you'll notice right now is that there's a little star, and that star is actually for when you get into sword combat. That kind of shows you where the direction of the sword is and how you will attack accordingly.
Stop right now! The catch pole is on his way.
See right here, here's some of the combat. The middle is kind of like to thrust your sword, and you can kind of see where you know, the sword is aiming and whatnot.
Herr Gott!
So one thing that you're noticing is there's the health bar and a stamina bar, and your stamina, once it goes, well, I should say, once your health goes down, it drops your stamina as well. As you can see, your health is in red and your stamina is in blue. Blue and yellow.
Mist!
As you can see, it's not so much a hack and slash sort of game. You're really taking your time to read your opponent's moves, and you know, one wrong move could be fatal. Now, one of the biggest things here is that when your stamina bar goes completely down, that's when you take the most amount of damage. So it behooves you to really gauge your stamina versus actually attacking the person.
Bugger!
Now, obviously, right here, you're seeing a wide variety of weapons. You can go and just pick them up to, you know, use what you want. Now, one of the most interesting things that I gotta say is when you're actually playing this game, and you have a helmet like this enemy has, your vision is severely impaired. It's actually like if you're wearing the helmet. So right now he's playing without a big, large, cumbersome helmet on, and he has the armor, but not so much the visual impairment. The other person, or if he was in the same type of armor, would be visually impaired on the sides, and you'd only basically be able to see out of those little slits. This is also one of the reasons why, if you were doing archery or something where you're going to need that full range of vision, you're not going to be wearing one of these big, clunky helmets.
Fucking hell!
I gotta say, when I went through the demo, I died quite a lot because I was getting used to the gameplay. This in particular is the gameplay section that we really focused on. This is kind of a skirmish. It does show up later in the story, but you can just choose to do this, at least in the demo. And these were the sets of armor that were available. Now, I was doing a lot of archery, and so what I would do is kind of have light combat weapons and a bow and have light armor so that my vision was not impaired. Now, one of the interesting things is if you're setting up, you know, the fight's just going to start without you. Now, you could choose to participate in the fight or not participate in the fight. That's one of the really big interesting things here. And maybe you'll get lucky, maybe you won't. But as you can see right here, putting on that giant armor helmet, slow down the walk speed, very hard to see visually. You know, you kind of have a lot of it blacked out here. And if you get too close to these guys, they're going to engage in you. You can wait for them to trade insults. We have a little bit of a bandit camp behind who's caused a whole hell of a lot of trouble, and you're basically there to tell them to cut the shit out. They choose not to, so you kind of have to go a little bit ham on them. I had a lot of trouble really figuring out the like how to stay alive in a situation like this, because it's very easy for a bunch of them to gang up on you as if it was like a real battle. What I ended up doing was being a little bit sneaky, going up to where the archers were and just arrowing a couple of the people and then taking out some of them from behind, which was rather effective as long as they didn't see me. If they do see you, you're kind of screwed because you're in light armor and all these guys are heavily armored. So you can see right here, pulling back the arrow, gonna fire one off. Obviously not in the big massive armor yet. See right there, got slammed a little bit. Pull out the sword, give him a what for. As you can see, it's very hard to kind of like judge exactly where, you know, let's say that you have somebody who's on your team, somebody who's not on your team. If one of those guys just decides to turn around, you might be a little screwed. You know, you don't want to have two people on your ass at the same time, especially in a fighting situation like this. You want to make sure your stamina bar is charged up so you're not taking that massive amount of damage in between. And then you got to work your way to the guy in the full set of armor. Now, one interesting thing is that I kind of learned to do, I didn't actually wait to take out all these guys. I went straight in for the captain and took him out, and that ends the fight right then and there. But if you choose to, obviously you can take out all these guys beforehand, you know, and have that decision, that strategy. But me personally, I was like, cut the head off the snake, the body falls, and that's exactly what happened. Everybody stops fighting and they surrender, and you know, you've done what you needed to do. The NPCs also respond accordingly to that, so they know themselves not to engage after something like that happens. Now we're coming up to the end of the demo. Obviously, this is kind of this is the area where you're taking the advantage point for, you know, dropping some arrowage on them if you want to. Nice, good vantage point right here. Pull out that arrow. And the longer you hold that arrow, your stamina is going to be dropping down. So you can see, engage the fight right away. Now the archers are going to be starting slinging at you too. So you got to be careful, get your aim straight, take these guys out. And it's just a little bit different strategy. You can go about these situations in many different ways. And there we go. Victorious. Hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of a preview for Kingdom Come Deliverance. I personally think the game is going to be, for kind of the most hardcore, the hardcore RPG fans who also want to have a super challenging game experience. All your decisions really do matter leading up to the final conclusion. Yet there is only one final conclusion, but the way that you get there is very important. And it really sets the tone for the story, and the story is basically what you make of it. The world is very lush, and it's really amazing to see this game come out of this small team. And I hope, personally, that it does well in the future. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit the like and the subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.